Hi there. Welcome. It says I am live, and indeed I am. This is Roger Nolan coming to you from South Pasadena, California, and welcome to the Center for Mindful Living weekly community meditation practice. So before I get started, I just wanted to let you know that I also offer, and I'll be announcing this later too, I also offer daily weekday meditations at 8 a.m. Pacific time. And if any of you are interested in joining this thriving, loving, and really, really wonderful community that we have online during the week, you can just write me at the email address that you see right here, Roger Nolan Therapy at hotmail.com. And I will send you the Zoom link to that. I don't like to post the Zoom link here because eventually this gets to Facebook and Instagram and who knows where else. So I'd rather just make it something where I just give that link from warm hand to warm hand, as Sunryo Suzuki Roshi said. So, and also I will be leading a mindfulness-based cognitive therapy class starting August 18th. And I will be sending out the registration information on that this coming week. And if you would like to be on that mailing list, again, you can write me at Roger Nolan Therapy at hotmail.com. It's right there on the screen. I hope it's legible. So today, what I thought we'd do is investigate different anchoring points for the practice. And there can sometimes be a misconception that mindfulness meditation is all about just feeling the body breathing. And you've probably had that instruction many times to use the sensations of breathing as an anchor point, as a connecting point to the present moment. And there is certainly nothing wrong with using the breath as an anchoring point. However, the breath is just one possible present moment experience that we can anchor our attention to. And we're going to be looking at several different anchoring points during this practice. Also, the sensations of breathing and the turning toward the experience of breathing can be difficult for some people. If you have had a history of asthma, either childhood or adult onset, or if the COVID-19 situation causes you anxiety, even just to hear the words breathing, then perhaps another anchor would be better for you. And so this is one reason why I wanted to introduce different anchoring points that you could use at any time in your practice, either as an experiment to see how that anchoring point works for you, or if you get into some kind of distress because feeling the body breathing might be difficult. So we'll start with a meditation practice, mindfulness meditation practice. And this will be about 25 to 30 minutes long. And I will be giving full instructions during this practice. There will also be periods of silence during the practice. And during those periods of silence, you're invited to just continue practicing on your own. And then after we're done with that, we'll have a period of inquiry, questions, answers, sharing, things you noticed, confusion, difficulties, whatever it might be. Just go ahead and bring it in. And I treat the period after the meditation as a period where we have plenty of time, and I will stay here until all questions or sharing are completed. And that may take 10 minutes, it may take 30, we don't know. So you're welcome to stay, you're welcome to go at any time. And remembering that these practices are also available in recorded form on the Center for Mindful Living Los Angeles Facebook page. Okay, so why don't we get started? The first instruction really is to pick out for yourself a way of being in your body that is right for you today. What does my body need is sometimes the question to ask. I'm sitting in a chair. It has a back, it has arms. I have a special cushion behind my lower back to give me a little bit more lumbar support, but also help to kind of lift me a little bit and energize me. You can sit in any kind of chair that is comfortable for you, or a sofa. You can sit on a meditation cushion, perfectly okay, but a meditation cushion or bench doesn't make the meditation any more deep or rich, or as I like to say, you won't become enlightened any faster by sitting on the floor. So make sure that whatever position you're sitting in is right for you. And these practices can also be done lying down or in a kind of semi-recumbent position. And you can feel free to alternate between different positions as well, finding for yourself that one which today might be the best one for you. Because I don't want you to think you have to do things a certain way here. When I teach, everybody has a lot of choice. So give yourself that choice. Now we come to the point where it's like eyes open, just like I am, perfectly okay. And maybe you're gazing out a window or at a flower or whatever it may be. Make sure that it's something that's easy to gaze at and doesn't hurt your eyes. Please don't gaze toward the computer screen. I'm not thinking that's a good idea. Or you could have the eyes just barely open, kind of zazen style, where you're still letting in some visual elements, but you're gazing toward a blank space and you're unfocused. Or you could close your eyes completely. And of course, you can alternate between those positions with the eyes at any time. All right, so why don't we begin? So Pam says, when I followed the link you sent, it took me to the meditation from 2 weeks ago. Ah, I see. Well, I don't know. I was told that was the same link to use all the time, and that's the one I put in. So, but here you are. However you got here, Pam, that's really fantastic. I'm really glad you did. And you know these technical things, they're not my strong suit. All right, so why don't we begin by making sure we're comfortable. And again, letting the body be as it needs to be so that you are at ease, comfortable, feeling good about how you're sitting or lying down, just feeling good in the body. And either inviting the eyes to close completely or to just hover slightly open, gazing toward a blank space. And you're never locked into any choice that you make. All choices are available to you at any time. And we'll begin by simply arriving in the body. And here we have perhaps the largest area of choice in terms of an anchor, a connecting point to the present moment. Because there are lots of sensations here. And don't get hung up about finding the perfect anchoring point. We're just going to try different ones today and just notice the experience with each one as best we can. And so here we have the places where the body makes contact with the chair or the sofa or the bed. And this could be an anchoring point. Perhaps we can notice the sensations of the feet touching the floor or whatever else they may be touching. Or perhaps we can feel the sensations of the hands. And the hands may be simply resting on the legs, or they could be resting in each other on the lap, and noticing whatever sensations are present in the hands. Or we can also expand the attention and feel the entire body all at once, sitting or lying here. And here is where we may have the opportunity to notice, is the body tired or restless? Or perhaps there are areas of tightness or tension that can be softened. And just taking a few more moments to rest in the body, feeling the ever-changing patterns of sensation, sensations arising, abiding for however long they do, and then subsiding or changing to other sensations. And perhaps there is one particular sensation that you would like to bring your attention to fully. It could be a random pulsating sensation, or an itch, or a place of pressure. And here in the body, an ongoing sensation is the feeling of the body breathing, the sensations of breathing in, the sensations of breathing out. And it may be important to remember that we're not thinking about the breath. We're feeling the sensations of breathing. And this could include things like the expanding and releasing of the belly or the chest, or the sensations of air coming in and out through the nose. And if you'd like to experiment with this anchor point, the sensations of breathing, give that a try. And as we continue, throughout this practice or any practice, the mind is going to wander around. It's going to go into the future or the past, or thoughts about liking or not liking something, or just a daydream of some kind. And it's really important to remember that this is not a mistake or a failure. And in fact, this is a very important component of mindfulness practice, because the wandering mind eventually invites us to become mindful again, to notice that the mind has wandered. In that moment, we're mindful and we can bring our attention back to whatever contact point, whatever anchoring point we choose in the body. And so let's continue practicing together in a little bit more silence, using that process of noticing when the mind wanders and inviting it back to a single connecting point in the body. And as we continue, we can also let the sensations in the body, including the sensations of breathing, move into the background of our attention. And we can invite into the foreground another connecting point, the experience of sound. And so expanding our attention to include whatever sounds we might be able to hear in our world. They could be sounds from within our own body, or a sound from within the room, or perhaps outside the room and in the same building, or outside the building. And if you're doing these practices outdoors, You simply expand the attention to include whatever sounds are happening in your environment. And sometimes there's one sound that we can invite our attention to stay with, and we can notice the qualities of that sound, the volume, pitch, duration, direction. Does it squeak or click or rumble? Does it move? Is it long duration, short duration? It could be really staccato. So we're noticing the qualities of the sound. And again, we're not thinking about the sound or what's making the sound. And if you find that the mind is thinking about what's making the sound or creating a story around it or a preference, which is very likely that it will, we like certain sounds, we don't like certain sounds. If you find the mind is doing that, just come back to the pure awareness of sound, these events that we can hear. Just like physical sensations are events in the body, sounds are events in the atmosphere. So we'll continue practicing together into another period of stillness and using the experience of sound as a present moment anchor. And as you continue, sound provides a very unique anchoring point, connecting point to the present moment. Usually because we're so accustomed to identifying what is making the sound. And this can sometimes be very useful and necessary. In this practice, we're not identifying what's making the sound. We're noticing the sound itself and the qualities of it. So we're not hearing a bird. We're hearing a melodic, long duration, staccato sound, high-pitched, distant, maybe low volume, up high behind us, whatever it might be. Those are the qualities of that sound. What you're hearing is not a bird. That's what the mind labels it. And then we come back to the pure essence, the qualities of these sounds. And then letting the sounds move into the background again. Turning our attention back to the body and finding for ourselves here in the body a comfortable and useful, comfortable contact point to the present moment. Again, it could be your hands, the sensations of breathing, your seat in the chair, or any physical sensation. And it can shift around. If a strong sensation arises, kind of like a sound in the body, then we can shift our attention toward that arising sensation and notice its qualities. Does it pulsate? Does it itch? Does it sting? Is it deep or shallow? Is it pleasant, unpleasant, and so forth? And of course, when you notice that the attention gets drawn away by thought, you've become mindful again and you can invite the attention back to a single point of connection. It is also possible to notice where the mind goes, to name the kind of thought it is, a memory, a fantasy, a thought about the future or the past. And then we can also notice that a thought might bring with it an emotional quality. A thought about what you're going to do later today might bring joy, or it might bring anxiety. And we can notice these physical sensations, and even the sensations of an emotion can be an anchoring point. And so we'll continue now practicing together through the remainder of this practice in silence. Perhaps finding that one anchoring point for yourself. And then if any other experiences arise, shifting the anchor point to that arising event. It could be a sound, a sensation. It could even be a thought or an emotion. And so we are available for anything that arises. Shifting our spotlight of attention toward those objects that arise that might be interesting or compelling, and then eventually returning our attention back to a single point of attention, some sensation in the body that helps us to connect to the present moment, perhaps. And so let's continue practicing together in silence until the sound of the bells signals the end of this practice. And taking as much time as you need in your own way to transition from this practice. No rush, maybe a stretch or a sip of water or tea. And I'm seeing a chat from Janet, and thank you very much for invoking the Buddha ancestors. I'm wondering if you practice in the Soto Zen tradition. because the calling in of the Buddha ancestors is a venerated practice in that particular tradition. But thank you so much for bringing that in. We used to also, of course, call in the ancestors when I would do Lakota sweat lodge ceremonies many, many, many years ago. Um, you'll have to write me, Michelle, at the email address rogernolan@hotmail.com, and I will send you privately that link. And I just don't like posting these things in social media, because there are people who might want to do harm. So, what did you notice in these practices today? In this practice of alternating anchors, finding different ways of connecting to the present moment through physical sensations or sounds or even thoughts or emotions. Did you notice anything, or do you have any questions about that, and or anything that has to do with meditation, the Dharma? I'm happy to help you if I can. No, Bobby liked it. Why'd you like it, Bobby? What was it that was likable about it, if you don't mind my asking? And when I re-ask a question, or when I ask a question based on a question, I'm not picking on anybody. This is how teachers deepen you into your process through what's called inquiry. It's a contemplative dialogue that we begin to have with the student. Hey, Sandy, nice to see you. Sounds are very powerful groundings for me, particularly Beatles tunes. And I'd like to suggest on the White Album, Helter Skelter, at 2 minutes, if you're listening to the Giles Martin remix, at 2 minutes, you totally understand what they were doing. Something happens there that's just amazing. So listen to that with headphones. And yes, now, if we use sounds like music, and were you listening to the Beatles during this practice? And I also want to say, especially for those of you who may not know me as a teacher, that I want you to have choice to do whatever practice works for you. And if you want to have music going, or environmental sounds or whatever, that's fine. If this is something that's good for you as a meditation, that's okay, because really we're just here as a community. And these are suggested practices. Hey, Darren, good to see you too. Always tend to start with the breath and then shift to the rise and fall of the belly. So I'm wondering, Darren, what is the difference for you? So there's the breath and there's the rise and fall of the belly. So what is it that's different about that, switching between those? Emma. I think this weekly class is an anchor for me too. Yes. So this can be an anchor. The practice becomes an anchor. Yeah, it's a connecting point to the present moment. And you can have that connecting point by feeling just one breath at any time during your day. And so, Bobby, I happen to know that you're an outdoor meditator, right? And just so many things to hear. And it is nice to focus on different sounds. And one of the instructions I like to give is, if you're in a place where there's a sound that the mind says, I don't like that sound, and there's a preference, that's fine. And maybe you could imagine, what if I couldn't hear? What if until this moment I had never heard a sound, and now I'm suddenly able to hear, and this is the first sound I'm able to hear. Even if it's a jackhammer, tears of joy would stream down your face, I think. Dana Ramsey. So it's an eye-opening comment about using the emotional reaction to a wandering thought as an anchor. And it's like an aha moment. That's wonderful. It can also be a oh no moment too. I looked at those angering thoughts completely differently, with more openness and compassion. And Dana, is it Dina? Excuse me. I'm sorry. Dina, that's just really great, because when we can then begin to befriend these emotional sensations and not push them away or judge them as bad or wrong, whatever it might be, when we just use them as another place to rest our attention, we do relate very differently to them. I really appreciate that. Thank you. And so, Sandy, 2 minutes in, helter skelter. No, not listening to music today. Was watching sparklers in my snow globe drift down. Okay, yeah, there you go. And, a snow globe, sure. Any, even with eyes closed, for those of you who are eyes closed practitioners like me, behind the behind the eyelids, there's all kinds of visual elements too. I didn't even bring that in, but you can just be with visual experiences as an anchor and just notice how they come and go and change and faces appear or fireworks or whatever it might be. And Bobby heard the sounds of airplanes, birds, and leaves rustling. Now, those are the names, those are the labels that the mind gives those experiences of sound. But that's not what you're hearing. You're not hearing leaves rustling. You're hearing the sound of that. And so when we notice that the mind creates a label for a sound, we can also deepen into the experience, letting the label go and notice the qualities of the sound. Now, this can be helpful in daily life because the mind also tends to throw up labels about our experience. This is pain. This is sadness. This is anger, whatever it might be. And so that's all that we stop there, right? It's just like birds. We stop there. It's a bird. No, actually, it's a melodic, whistling sound, whatever it might be. The same thing with something like pain. If we notice the mind is saying pain, but then we move into that experience a little bit and notice the qualities of it, we find throbbing, heat, burning, tightness, whatever it might be. And yet we don't really encounter pain. We just see it as a bundle of sensations, and that helps us to relate differently to that experience as well. And by the way, if any of you have any questions or anything you want to privately discuss with me, I'm happy to do that. Just write the email address you see underneath my face there, and I'm happy to start a dialogue with you and maybe even put you on the mailing list for further things if that's okay. Gary Singh likes John Cage, uh, listening to birds, the plumbing, and refrigerator and distant sirens. And John Cage was, he would do, what was that, musique concrète, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, where it was just, I believe it was John Cage who had an orchestral piece with 45 seconds of silence or something incredible, 2 minutes of silence, and maybe that was the whole piece. And people were just up in arms. Yeah, all the troublemakers, right? I studied at music school, are now even more relevant. They sure are. Yeah, maybe they were doing Buddhist meditation and we didn't know it. For me, switching from the breath to my different body parts of the hands made it helpful to stay in the present. You're welcome. And you can switch anytime. And if you have problems with breathing, that would help. And you've never seen anything behind your closed eyes. Yeah. And you teaching on sounds. Yeah. As you heard sounds and you teaching on sounds. Good. Yeah, sometimes, for some people, it's more obvious than others, but there can be visual experiences that happen with eyes closed. And Just Rex, is that how I'm pronouncing that correctly? Chronic tinnitus. All right. Thank you so much for bringing that in. So this is another one of those things, and the word annoying has come up for you with this. I have it. I have transitory tinnitus, or tinnitus, however it might be pronounced, that comes and goes. Some days I don't have it. Kind of depends on my stress level, my blood pressure, what I've eaten that day, and so forth. Today it's at a moderate level, maybe about a 3 or a 4, but it's in there. And so this can simply be something that we notice. And then if you start naming the qualities of it, rushing, whooshing, buzzing, uh, white noise, whatever you want to call it, then it's just something that's here. And again, we kind of can get friendly with it a little bit. And yeah, wish we didn't have it. And then we can notice the wishing we didn't have it. All of these things can be known. And then the tinnitus becomes a doorway toward greater enlightenment. So if we shut that door, I don't want to listen to that, or I hate that, or whatever, that's fine. We can do that. It's always a choice. Or we can open the door and see where that leads us. And we don't know where it might lead. Thank you. Orla, good to see you. I hope things are well for you. Um, Anchored to sounds outside rather than to my breath today. Right. And that would probably be useful for you, as I recall. Notice the difference of the cars whooshing by, the bird chirp far away, the humming of the fan in the other room. So whooshing, chirping, humming, these are the qualities of all those things that the mind then, of course, has the label for. And we can notice, oh, there's a label and there's the quality. Uh, the song itself is 7 minutes, but I believe it's at 2 minutes. There's a pretty interesting experience. Let me re-listen to it and see where it is. If you're talking about Helter Skelter. Uh, Look, for those of you who don't know me, I go off on tangents, okay? I happen to be a huge Beatles fan, and Sandy happens to know that. And I will give some strange things. If it doesn't apply to you, just don't listen. It's okay. Not a problem. Thanks, Darren. You're working the third shift, so you're off to bed. All right. Have a pleasant sleep, wonderful dreams, and hope to see you in the morning. And hi, Orla. Nice to see you. Yeah, flip me an email. Let me know how you're doing. If the quarter has started already, let me know how things are doing in Antioch. So again, a reminder, I do meditations very similar to this structure, if not exactly like this structure, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Pacific time. If you want to get on the mailing list for that, and I'll send you the link, just write this email address right here. I'm also starting a mindfulness-based cognitive therapy class. That's an 8-week class, which is about handling difficult emotional states. That's going to be starting August 18th, of course, online. And if you want information about that, I'll be sending that out in just a few days. And yes, you have seen me recently. Oh, you have been recently. Oh, thank you very much. I'm glad to hear that. And Bobby's baking bread. So all's right with the world, right? Here we are. This is the world we're in. And these can be really difficult times. And I also want to point you to the Center for Mindful Living. They have ongoing live and on-demand content that can be very, very helpful in these times. Elisha Goldstein is a wonderful teacher. And I'd like to thank Elisha and Stephanie and Valerie for the opportunity to come in here every third Sunday of the month. I'm usually here the third Sunday of the month. And so if that's it, I guess I will release you all on your own recognizance to the rest of your Sunday, or if you're listening to this on recorded, then whatever day it might be. And thank you for being here. It really is an honor to share these practices with you. And Matcha's working on a coverlet for her son. Oh, that's so lovely. And I happen to know you as a wonderful seamstress. You've sewn me our best masks. In fact, my wife had it on the other day. She said, "You know that white mask?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "That's really comfortable." I said, "Yeah, I know. They're the best ones." Yeah. All right. Thanks so much. And Gwen, good to see you. Stay safe in Atlanta. And Enrico, hello. Hello, hello. Good to see you too. Oh, my dear friends. So thank you for being here. I don't want to go, but it's time. And I think Elisha would appreciate it if eventually I gave up the space so he can come in and do something the rest of the day. All right. I'll be hearing from you, I hope. Thanks. Stay in touch. Bye for now. I'm going to end broadcast. Wait, save changes? No, stop that. Don't edit. End broadcast. Here we go.